What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. It's your host, Leon the King Alec. We'll be back for another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. Leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button. We're going to jump right into it and talk about it today. I hope everybody's up to a positive week, having a good day, and we're going to talk. So today, I am talking about, as we know on SmackDown last week, Killer Cross, has returned to WWE on SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown last week. And on SmackDown, there was a segment where the Bloodline came out and were cutting a promo. And during that promo, it was interrupted by Drew McIntyre, who walked to the ring, took his shirt off, and during the promo, McIntyre had threatened that he was going to go to the ring and have a segment with the Bloodline for a brawl. During that, the theme music hits, and while the entrance music hits, we see up the ramp someone who looked familiar. The person looked like Scarlett. Out of nowhere, this guy appears out of the crowd, jumping on McIntyre on the entrance ramp, just beating the living daylights out of McIntyre. And the guy turns out to be Karrion Kross. So Karrion Kross is now back on SmackDown, and this is interesting. This is good. Will we get a triple threat match at Clash at the Castle? Will it be Roman, Drew McIntyre, and Karrion Kross for the unification title belts? Or will it be McIntyre and Roman at Clash at the Castle? Because the rumor is coming out now that we possibly might get a match with Karrion Kross and Roman Reigns for the first time ever at Extreme Rules this year. So let's check it out. Sportskeeda has reported that Roman Reigns will face Drew McIntyre at WWE Clash at the Castle. However, there are plans for a big match between him and Karrion Kross to take place around Survivor Series. The company's next major event after Clash at the Castle will be Extreme Rules. However, Reigns isn't booked for the show as of now. It is not known at this point if he will retain the Unified Championship following his match against Drew McIntyre. There were reports that state that USA Network, WWE, and Universal titles could split again. He said that the company will likely give Karrion Kross a major push and have him face Roman Reigns, most likely at Survivor Series. So they're also reporting that Reigns is not booked on Extreme. As things stand out right now, it would either be TV or the earliest would be Survivor Series, bearing the weekly circumstances involved in wrestling, said by David Meltzer. So this is what's going on. Karrion Kross seen as the biggest heel on SmackDown after Roman Reigns is what they're reporting. He could be the next big heel push that WWE want to use, and it could be Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross could be the next big guy. So we'll see for sure. But yeah, Karrion Kross is back. A lot of stuff's going on. I personally feel WWE is getting much better. I think that we got Triple H as head of creative. Vince McMahon, the chairman of WWE, is gone. Walking in, and that's it. I've done my duty with WWE. So now we got Triple H and Stephanie McMahon running things. And I think Triple H is great to be head of creative. His position as head of creative is a great decision. It's like in the ring, out the ring. He just knows the business of pro wrestling. Be surprised if this is a sign that we're going into a new era in WWE. And this is a whole new era, and things could be getting much better for the product and the brand of WWE. Things WWE could be in better hands now than the crap that we got with Vince McMahon. I didn't have a problem with the PG era at all. I just felt that the only problem I had is there was a time period where, as a fan who loved wrestling, as a hardcore fan of wrestling, it just got to a point where it didn't feel the same. Life's about change, but for me, the change of what they were, the PG direction, there were some things, the entertainment value had went away and was not as good as what we watched when it was TV 14. Now that Monday Night Raw is TV 14, it's making me feel like I'm becoming introduced to it all over again as a new fan, even though I've been a fan for years now. But it just feels like that. So the awesome thing is we're seeing somebody like Triple H help make the company back to being what it was. And I think that's in good hands with Raw being TV 14, with him being Triple H being head of creative. I think it's a good move. Some people call him Papa H. Who knows? But Triple H, whatever. Papa H, Triple H, don't matter. I think it's a good way to see him be. Papa H sounds kind of weird, I guess, but yeah, Triple H being one of the top guys they have right now as the head of creative, that's a great thing to me. You got to have someone who knows the business, and I think Triple H is a perfect choice to be head of creative. So next, I want to talk about the fall of total nonstop action wrestling. The fall of TNA Impact, the death of TNA Impact. What happened to the fall of TNA? Did TNA Impact lose viewers? Did it lose ratings? You think about it. Check this out. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling started in 2004. And still running in 2022 now. Okay, back. Sorry, just had some connection problems. But anyway, that was weird. So TNA started in 2002 and it's still going now in 2022. The trade name was NWA and it changed to TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. So the headquarters were in Nashville, Tennessee, and one of the founding people of the company was Jeff Jarrett, WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett, and this is how I feel about TNA. I started watching TNA in 2009, so I came in kind of late. At this time, you had a lot of big names, a lot of former WWE names. Some of the biggest names of wrestling were in TNA. You had guys like AJ Styles, Sting, Kurt Angle, Booker T, Samoa Joe, Jeff Jarrett, Christopher Daniels, Xavier Woods from New Day was in TNA. He was Consequences Creed. A lot of people forget Consequences Creed before Xavier Woods, as we know him now in New Day. Let's not forget he was originally Consequences Creed. You had him. You had Jay Lethal. He was tag team partners with Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal was a great wrestler. You had him. You had the tag teams like Motor City Machine Guns. You had Team 3D, which were the Dudley Boys in WWE. You know, you had a lot of girls' names were there. Bobby Lashley, Hulk Hogan came in like 2010. You had names. I feel what in 2009, TNA was awesome. You had the main event Mafia, which consisted of Kurt Angle, Sting, Kevin Nash, uh, Scott Steiner, and they were all in TNA. Samoa Joe was eventually in TNA. You had the X Division matches where you had to climb the ropes to get the X and win the match to become the X Division champion or whatever. I'm not gonna lie, the X Division in TNA used to put on some damn good matches. They used to put on some good matches in TNA. The X Division was lit, bro. It was lit, bro. They used to have matches where, like, it was guys like Suicide, you know, TJP, Suicide, AJ Styles, Motor City Machine Guns, Christopher Daniels, Mojo, Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, Consequences of Creed. Man, I could go on. TNA used to put on some really good. Anybody remember the tag team LAX, like Homicide and Hernandez? Dude, those guys used to put on. TNA had some of the best wrestling on TV. I'll say that. It brings back memories. TNA had some damn good wrestling. It was some of the best wrestling on TV. I'm not gonna lie. WWE is always number one. They never defeated WWE. But to me, they were number two when it came to having good wrestling on TV. I usually say their women's division, the Knockouts division, was the women's revolution in wrestling before WWE's women's revolution. They were wrestling before the divas were actually wrestling. They showed you that their women were actual athletes before WWE showed that women were athletes. TNA showed you that before WWE. So for me, it brings back memories, like Gail Kim, who's one of the greatest female wrestlers in the world. Velvet Sky, Mickey James, Tara, who was Victoria from WWE. She was there. Tara with, the beautiful people, the great, awesome Kong, the undefeatable awesome Kong. You had her. So you could think about the names of women they've had in their company. TNA is great. They were great. Excuse me. But, anybody remember Shark Boy? He basically was copying Stone Cold Steve Austin's gimmick. Give me a shell, yeah. You don't remember. But anyway, that's what they used to do. The Motor City Machine Guns, they had a good tag team division. Team 3D, Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns, James Storm and Bobby Roode. Come on, dude. TNA was the number 2 wrestling brand before AEW existed. Let's be real. TNA was that show. If you were not watching WWE, you went to TNA. You watched TNA on Thursday nights on Spike at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whatever. You went home and rushed home Thursday nights to watch TNA on Spike back in the day. Yes, because those were awesome nights. Thursday nights were awesome because you saw so much good action. And you saw great wrestling on TV for 2 hours on Thursday night on Spike. That was awesome days. But I feel like what killed the company was when they brought in Hulk Hogan in 2010. You had the whole Aces and Eights storyline going on. You had Mr. Kenny from WWE. Ken Anderson came. You had MVP come to WWE. I mean, come to TNA. Bobby Lashley eventually came back to TNA and became a TNA World Champion. So you think about the list of world champions they had. I'm gonna take a look at some of their world champions over quick. Here go their world champions. So it consists of Kurt Angle, Sting, Samoa Joe, Mick Foley, AJ Styles, Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson, James Storm, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, Bully Ray, Chris Sabin, Magnus, Eric Young, Bobby Lashley, Ethan Carter III, Matt Hardy, Drew Galloway, who's Drew McIntyre, Eddie Edwards, Alberto El Patron, who's Alberto Del Rio, Eli Drake, Pentagon Jr. was a world champion. I don't remember Pentagon Jr. being a world champion. What year was that? April 22nd, 2018. He was a world champion. He won it at Redemption, Orlando, Florida. I don't remember that. I wasn't watching TNA at that time. I have been stopped watching TNA. But yeah, I guess at that time when I wasn't watching, he was Pentagon Jr. was a world champion. I just feel like I don't remember that. It says right here on Wiki, this was a triple threat match also involving Phoenix. I guess so. But you look at the list of TNA World Champions. TNA did not have a bad roster. Like Ethan Carter, TNA was entertaining. TNA had some good entertainment. You had guys like Ethan Carter, guys like Bobby Roode. TNA had very good heels. There was a time where they had better heels than WWE, and when they had good heels, WWE was at a time when WWE was lacking in their heel department. Their heels were terrible. The only thing they had were good baby faces and faces. They had no good heels. TNA had very good heels. Ken Anderson, Bully Ray, Kurt Angle, Bobby Roode, James Storm when he was in DC, the DCC. Just they had some good heels over the years, and it's just not the same. But that's their list of world champions. You see a lot of guys that started out that were in TNA that went on WWE. Guys like John Moxley, who was Dean Ambrose. CM Punk was in TNA. R-Truth was in TNA, and believe it or not, R-Truth was a former NWA champion. So much respect to R-Truth, my bro R-Truth. He was in TNA. God, AJ Styles was in TNA. Samoa Joe was in TNA. These are some names that were in TNA before they went to WWE. So it's a lot of names that it kind of shows you how connecting the pro wrestling industry is. A lot of guys from other promotions were in TNA, and a lot of guys from WWE went to TNA. So it's kind of interesting to see that. But they had great talent. They had good matches. Their women, like I said, the women's wrestling in TNA, the Knockouts division in TNA, they were the first ones to, in my opinion, to change wrestling. The face of women's wrestling. They evolutionized women's wrestling before WWE did. The Divas had like 1 to 2 minute matches. Diva matches used to be like bathroom breaks. The Knockouts, their storylines were so good that you sat and watched every week. You sat and watched their matches. That's how good it was. I remember the time when ODB attacked Velvet Sky, and that's a whole nother conversation I'm gonna do a video on at some point. But that was really good. So you think about stuff like that. You think about the matches they had, the factions they had, the main event mafia, DCC, the Hardy Boys. Come on, they were the ones that introduced Matt Hardy introduced the whole Woken gimmick before he even went to WWE, and they ruined it in WWE. So, like I said, TNA started so many good things. The Suicide storyline was so great. In 2008, TNA had a. I will actually pull this up real quick. Okay, so Suicide is a professional wrestling persona used by multiple wrestlers in Impact Wrestling, formerly Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Suicide first appeared as a fictional character from the video game TNA Impact in December 2008. The Suicide character was introduced on television as a real-life wrestler, originally portrayed by Frankie Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels held the role for a time in early 2009 and went on to win the X Division Championship. In June 2010, Kyoshi became the third man to use the gimmick. In October 2010, the gimmick was dropped, but made a brief return in January 2011, once again being portrayed by Christopher Daniels. Before being dropped once again in April 2011, Suicide returned to television in May 2013, portrayed by TJ Perkins, who was in WWE. Austin Aries wrestled under the Suicide gimmick on the episode of Impact Wrestling, which aired on June 27, 2013, and won the TNA X Division Championship. The Suicide persona returned in July 2016 for TNA One Night Only Extravaganza 2016, portrayed by Jonathan. I don't know who that is. In March 2017. Okay, blah, blah, whatever. Who cares? But yeah, that's what happened. The Suicide character was originally in the video game and then was brought into the actual TNA show as a real life wrestler. That's clever. That to me is something that WWE should do. What if we put a fictional character in 2K23, the next WWE video game? What if we put a fictional character in a WWE game in 2K23 and then have them show up the next month or the next year after the release of the game and have him on the roster as a real life wrestler? How awesome is that? Having somebody portray that character, that masked character, and we want to find out who this guy is running around winning these championships, calling himself the best. We want to know who he is. You do a storyline. You get Judgment Day or the Bloodline trying to attack this masked vigilante wrestler. Oh my God. That would be a great storyline that WWE should do. Take notes, WWE. So anyway, I always thought WWE should take notes from TNA, believe it or not. As much as I'm a WWE fan, I started watching wrestling by watching WWE. That was the only promotion I originally was watching was WWE. But when I saw TNA, I'm like, man, they really got to take notes. So that's how I felt, man. TNA was awesome. What killed it, the fall of it, was just them not the budget, not having the money, not having the finances, them being, a more private televised promotion, and just not having and branding like WWE brands their superstars. It will never beat out AEW or WWE at this point. Not what the company has now. But TNA failed, and that's how good they were. And it was good. I loved it. But so much of that talent went to WWE or AEW. You know, a lot of their talent went on other promotions. A lot of them are wrestling for WWE now, or they're wrestling for AEW now. So, like I said, man, it's kind of hard to see what they're coming. You know, it is what it is. You accept it. You know, WWE is better than TNA. TNA brought in Hulk Hogan, and they brought in so many big names that they really could have been another WWE. They could have been easily competition with WWE. I remember when TNA was coming on Monday nights, was competing with Raw.